Before John Kerry gave his speech on the UN resolution that basically denounced additional settlements that Israel would build in East Jerusalem and the West Bank, Donald Trump tweeted about his thoughts. And interestingly enough, while he was campaigning, he said that he wanted to focus on the United States and not get involved in foreign issues, right? Well, in this case, it seems like he's very much involved in this foreign issue and has definitely chosen a side. Let's go to graphic 4. He says, and again, this was before Kerry's speech, "We cannot continue to let Israel be treated with such total disdain and disrespect. They used to have a great friend in the U.S., but not anymore. The beginning of the end was the horrible Iran deal, and now this UN, Stay Strong Israel, January 20th, is fast approaching." Okay, so the Iran deal is disastrous. How? Like, how would you handle it? Would you engage in war with Iran? I mean, you're literally the candidate who said that you don't want to get involved in that kind of stuff. You want to focus on building infrastructure here in the United States. You want to, increase national security. How do you increase national security and use funds for the United States when you're getting involved in Iran like that?
Well, he said Iraq was a mess, and he wouldn't make a mistake like that. Iran is significantly larger than Iraq. If you thought Iraq was a mess, wait till you get a lot of a war with Iran. And you think this fool can't bumble his way into a war with Iran? He most certainly can. Now, look at all of his advisors. Look, I'll give you a silver lining in this otherwise dark cloud. So we were worried that Donald Trump has streaks of anti-Semitism, right? So like when he goes to the Republican Jewish business leaders and says, no room renegotiates like you guys. So he's got those, stereotypes from in the old days. Now his daughter converted to Judaism, and yes, but a lot of people get married or they have family members that become a different religion. But that doesn't affect the old stereotypes in the back of their heads. I knew a girl who was married to a Jewish guy, got divorced, and then later thought the Jews run the world. Like, oh, Jesus Christ, right? But I've been studying Donald Trump's inner circle, his general counsel, the guys who run his business affairs and stuff, and there's a ton of Jewish Americans there. And so now I don't agree with their positions on Israel, the new ambassador to Israel, and then Greenblatt now has a international negotiation role, who is one of Trump's top advisors. Now, there's a giant conflict of interest there, but he's worked with these guys for a long, long time. So I'm a little comforted that it appears that Donald Trump is not going to go in an anti-Semitic direction. Okay?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
I'm not a little comforted, I'm a lot comforted by that.
Yes.
The only reason I say a little is because I'm not perfectly certain. It depends on how much he's going to need to scapegoat.
Yeah.
We'll see, but so far not bad, okay? But the guy who said, so on that note, good for Trump. On the note of we're not going to get involved in foreign conflicts, I don't see how ripping up the Iran deal doesn't get us involved in a giant foreign conflict.
Immediately.
That's terrible news. And on the whole thing of, I had hope for him, and this is going to be, in fact, right after the election I talked about the silver lining, that Trump from time to time won't listen to his advisors and had said, hey, look, in order to get Israel to the negotiating table, of course you have to, say that maybe they don't get the funding. And I was like, whoa, no American politician says that. And that was proved to be a very popular position. Now he's in office and does what every establishment politician does. Okay.
I know, you know why?
So
because
then all of a sudden that hope is gone. What's there to hope for?
Look,
so then we're not going to have peace.
Yeah, here's the mistake that we continue to make and members of the media continue to make, and honestly the electorate continues to make. Assuming like he's a person who has strong positions on anything, right? He goes from one position to another. He changes things on a day-by-day basis. And so do I think that he is going to go along with what Netanyahu wants? Absolutely. I mean, the way his rhetoric regarding this issue, I mean, he's talking about the U.S. treating Israel with disdain and disrespect. Are you kidding me? The United States isn't even strong enough to vote in that UN resolution, right? They had to abstain because they're so afraid of voting the way that they actually wanted to vote. And at the same time, how are we treating Israel with disdain and disrespect when we literally give them more foreign aid than any other country in the world, when we've given them the Iron Dome, when we've supported them in anything and everything, right? They are our allies. One of the reasons why we want the two-state solution, or we want them to stop building these settlements in contested land, is because we want a two-state solution. We want the safety of Israelis in Israel. And this guy is just telling Netanyahu what he wants to hear. Netanyahu's eating it up. In fact, he responded by saying, President-elect Trump, thank you for your warm friendship and your clear-cut support for Israel, right? And so When it comes to any right-winger, whether it be Netanyahu or Putin, he's cozying up, he's doing what they're going to want him to do. And yeah, we should be concerned, especially because there's a lot of uncertainty on his political ideology and what he actually intends on doing.
So if you believe his campaign promises, well, I got bad news for you, including me. I thought, look, there's a chance there that that's the one thing, one of a couple of things that he could do right, like the trade deals, right? But don't delude, even on the trade deals, he's going to turn around and do whatever the powerful want. Turns out Donald Trump was just a standard old politician, and if you thought he was going to do anything different than what a standard old politician in America does on the issue of Israel, you will be sorely disappointed. No, he's going to go with the same boring line of, yeah, whatever the right-wing government of Israel says. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. What happened, tough guy Donald Trump? I thought you were, that you were your own man and you get to make the decisions and this and that. There you are, falling in line, just like everybody else. And unlike Trump, we don't mean, I've got to clarify this every time because I don't want people to take it the wrong way. Not falling in line to, like, as he put it in his own commercials. When he's trying to win an election, he doesn't mind anti-Semitism. Remember when he talked about the global financial interests and he showed a picture of Lord Blankfein right as he was saying that. Then, Blankfein is the head of Goldman Sachs. He stacked his cabinet full of Goldman Sachs alumni. 4 top advisors are from Goldman Sachs. And then, donors want him to be, and only the right-wing donors, not the left-wing donors, the ones that gave him money, right? Want him to be in favor of whatever Netanyahu says. All of a sudden, Donald Trump, yes, sir, whatever Netanyahu says. Doesn't seem so tough now. It certainly doesn't seem like a populist now and doesn't look any different than any other politician you've ever seen. Help us with Operation Watchdog. Help us hire 4 new reporting teams. We could be the watchers on the wall. Make sure we keep Trump and the establishment in check. TYTnetwork.com/go.